Hello everyone. Today we plunge into one of the most chilling and consequential unsolved mysteries in ancient Chinese history, the sudden violent death of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified the warring states, built the Great Wall, standardized writing and currency, and forged an empire that would define East Asia for millennia. At just 49 years old, in the scorching summer of 210 BCE, this all-powerful ruler collapsed and died during his fifth Grand Eastern inspection at a remote palace complex called Sand Hill Platform, today as Guangzhou, in Hebei province. What truly killed him? Was it a sudden natural illness, slow poisoning from toxic immortality, elixirs, or a cold-blooded political assassination? For over 2,200 years, scholars, historians, and truth-seekers have debated these three competing theories, each supported by clues from Sima Qian's records of the Grand Historian, the most authoritative historical text of ancient China, modern medical analysis, and archaeological findings. We will strip away myth, legend, and folktale, and confront this mystery with strict historical accuracy. No speculation, no fake lore, only hard evidence, and the dark logic of imperial power. First, let us set the stage for the emperor's final days. By 210 BCE, Qin Shi Huang had ruled the unified Qin Empire for 11 years. His reign was marked by unprecedented conquest, brutal centralization, and obsessive paranoia about death. He had survived multiple assassination attempts, including the famous Jing Qi stabbing, and had become fixated on achieving immortality. He filled his court with alchemists and feng shi, occult practitioners, who promised him magical pills that would let him live forever. He also pushed his body to the breaking point. Sima Qian records that the emperor insisted on ruling every single matter of state, big or small, and personally reviewed over 120 jin, roughly 60 kilograms of bamboo slip documents, every single day, refusing to rest until he finished. This relentless overwork, combined with a weak constitution from his traumatic childhood as a hostage in Zhao, left him physically fragile. Modern medical historians, studying his recorded physical traits, high-bridged nose, long eyes, bird-like chest, and harsh rasping voice, conclude he likely suffered from congenital bronchitis, rib deformities, and chronic respiratory issues. Conditions that made him vulnerable to acute illness under stress. His fifth Eastern inspection began in late 211 BCE, a 9-month journey across mountains, rivers, and sweltering plains. The imperial procession stretched for miles, with carved wooden carriages, armed guards, courtiers, and alchemists carrying his precious immortality pills. By midsummer 210 BCE, the party reached Pinglin Ferry in modern-day Shandong province. There, Qin Shi Huang suddenly fell gravely ill. Crucially, Sima Qian notes the emperor abhorred the mention of death, so no official dared speak of his worsening condition, let alone recommend proper treatment. His health deteriorated rapidly over just 2 weeks. He managed to dictate a secret edict to his eldest son Fu Su, ordering him to return to Xianyang to oversee the imperial funeral and inherit the throne. The edict was sealed and given to Zhao Gao, the chief eunuch, in charge of imperial seals and documents, but Zhao Gao never sent it. Days later, on the Binjun day of the 7th lunar month, Qin Shi Huang was pronounced dead at Sand Hill Platform, a cursed site where King Wu Ling of Zhao had been starved to death over a century earlier. This is the bare, undisputed historical timeline. Now, we break down the three theories that explain his death. The first and most widely accepted theory among mainstream historians is natural death from acute illness worsened by chronic overwork and poor health. This is the only theory directly supported by Sima Qian's straightforward account, which states the emperor fell ill and died with no mention of foul play. As we noted, his congenital health issues left him with a weak respiratory and cardiovascular system. The brutal conditions of the long inspection, sweltering heat, constant jostling in cramped carriages, irregular meals, and extreme mental stress triggered a catastrophic acute medical event. Leading medical historians believe he suffered a severe epileptic seizure, possibly after striking his head on a bronze ice container in his carriage, followed by fatal meningitis, or a massive hemorrhagic stroke. His refusal to acknowledge his illness meant no life-saving intervention was possible. This theory fits all timeline facts: sudden onset, rapid decline, and death within weeks, consistent with acute neurological or cardiovascular failure. It is the sober, evidence-based explanation favored by most academic historians today, as it requires no hidden conspiracy or unproven claims. The second theory is chronic poisoning from toxic immortality elixirs, a silent killer that eroded his body for years before delivering the final blow. Qin Shi Huang, desperate quest for eternal life, led him to consume massive quantities of alchemical pills crafted from cinnabar, mercuric, sulfide, lead, arsenic, and other heavy metal substances we now know are violently toxic. Historical records confirm he funded huge alchemical workshops, sent Shufu to sail the eastern seas in search of mythical immortal islands, and rewarded Fangxi, who produced these deadly pills. Modern toxicology shows long-term mercury and lead poisoning causes severe organ damage, kidney failure, liver collapse, nervous system breakdown, paranoia, mood swings, and fragile blood vessels. Archaeological surveys of the Qin mausoleum have detected dangerously high mercury levels in the soil, evidence of the emperor's lifelong obsession with the toxic metal. His well-documented late reign, paranoia, and irrational anger align perfectly with chronic heavy metal poisoning. This theory does not contradict the natural illness account. Instead, it explains why his body was so weak that a relatively mild trigger, heat, fatigue, a minor seizure, could kill him. Many historians argue the elixirs did not kill him instantly, but destroyed his organs over years, turning a treatable acute illness into a death sentence. This is the tragic irony of his reign. The very pills he took to live forever made his death certain. The third and most dramatic theory is premeditated assassination, a palace coup carried out by Zhao Gao Li Si and Prince Hu Hai to seize absolute power. This theory rests on the bizarre, suspicious actions taken immediately after the emperor's death and the clear political motive of the conspirators. Zhao Gao hated the crown prince Fu Su and the powerful general Meng Tian, who had once punished him for a crime. Li Si, the prime minister, feared losing his power if Fu Su, who favored more Confucian moderate policies, took the throne. Prince Hu Hai was a weak, easily manipulated younger son who would let them rule in his name. The clues are damning. First, Meng Yi, Meng Tian's brother, and a loyal ally of Fu Su, was suddenly sent away on a fake religious errand just before the emperor fell ill, removing the only witness who could stop the plot. Second, the imperial edict naming Fu Su heir was intercepted and hidden. Third, the trio forged a new edict ordering Fu Su and Meng Tian to commit suicide, a command both obeyed without question. Most shockingly, the conspirators concealed the emperor's death for nearly 2 months. They placed his decomposing body in a cooled carriage, continued to present meals, and handle state business as if he were alive, and loaded carts with dried, salted fish to mask the stench of rotting flesh. How could they pull off this elaborate cover-up if they had not planned for the emperor's death? Some historians argue Zhao Gao poisoned the emperor with a hidden toxin in his food or medicine, while others suggest he was suffocated or struck down during his seizure. While no direct written proof of murder exists, Sima Qian never explicitly states it. The entire chain of events is a textbook political assassination, followed by a seamless coup. This theory explains not just how the emperor died, but why the Qin Empire collapsed so quickly. After his death, the coup left a weak, tyrannical puppet on the throne, and chaos followed. Now, we must weigh these theories against the rules of strict historical accuracy. Mainstream academia leans toward the combined explanation: natural acute illness triggered by lifelong overwork, and congenital weakness accelerated by chronic heavy metal poisoning from immortality elixirs. The assassination theory remains a compelling but unproven hypothesis, supported by circumstantial evidence of conspiracy and cover-up, but lacking direct documentary proof. Sima Qian, writing a century later, had access to imperial archives and chose not to record a murder, which suggests he found no credible evidence of foul play. Yet, the dark allure of the assassination theory persists because it fits the brutal cutthroat logic of imperial power, where a ruler's death is not just a tragedy, but a window for rivals to rewrite history. Qin Shi Huang's death was not just the end of one man. It was the death rattle of the Qin Empire. The man who unified China could not conquer his own mortality, nor could he protect his legacy from the greed and treachery of his closest advisors. His final days spent chasing immortality in a sweltering carriage, surrounded by sycophants and poisoners, are a parable of power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and even the greatest emperors are mortal, vulnerable to disease, poison, and the knives of those they trust. The mystery of his death endures, not because we lack evidence, but because it reveals a timeless truth about humanity. We will always be fascinated by the secret, violent ends of those who once ruled the world. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.